He's everything you want a quarterback to play. He's an NFL guy. I mean, he's a first round pick. He's really, really good. I mean, I have a Heisman vote, and he's 100% in consideration in my book. I mean, he's dangerous.
Welcome in to EG and Friends, where each week of the college football season, I sit down with one of my dear friends in the industry to chat about Alabama's matchup that given week. Now, some of these dear friends have an affiliation with the team that Bama is playing, others do not, but the common thread is I want to share their magic with you. And I joked that this is my first home and home that I've scheduled because when I was thinking about OU and I was thinking about what a traditionally historic matchup this is, there was one way to go. It had to be my dear friend who is the most kind, most giving, and always just willing to say hello and extend a helping hand. And that is Dari Nowkhah. Thank you for being here.
You are too nice. That is way too nice of an introduction, but I'll take it. And I'm great. It's great to be here. So
Yes,
thanks for
absolutely.
coming on my show this morning. So
Right.
hey, right? We
I
help
mean,
each other out.
I love it. And like I said, it's my first home and home, and it happened to
Yeah.
be the same day. So it was perfect. But Dari, let's get into this matchup. There are so many storylines going into this. It's a bit of a revenge game for Bama.
Mhm.
But what I want to know is I want to know about what the temperature check is of the OU fan base. Because I know from my vantage point here at Bama, there's a little bit of anxiousness going into this game from the fan perspective.
Mhm. I think it's the same, honestly. It's a crazy thing because just now, like dealing with that fan base on a daily basis in a 15 hours a week on radio show, it's gone from like real excitement and enthusiasm in the off season to a 4-0 start or
Mhm.
5-0 start, and then Texas happens, and it's all of a sudden they're down in the dumps, and then Ole Miss happens, and all of a sudden it's like, is Brent Venables the right guy? And it's such a fickle game, and it's such a fickle sport that they go to Knoxville and win that game at night 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden now everything's still in front of them. And I think going into this week, everybody knows Alabama's really good. Everybody knows, but everybody also knows that Alabama was really good, was a lot better than Oklahoma last year, and we know what happened. So crazy things can happen in football, but I think the defense of Oklahoma gives
Mhm.
Oklahoma fans legitimate hope. And I know that there's been a lot of conversation about that defense maybe kind of being able to feast a little bit. If Alabama can establish a run game, that defense might make a few plays of their own and put the offense in good position. So I don't think the majority would pick OU to win if you ask them, to be completely honest, but there is quite a bit of optimism that it can happen.
Well, when it goes back to that defense that you mentioned, I continuously have
Mhm.
heard about how effective Brent Venables' defense is. He's a defensive-minded guy. From your perspective, what is allowing for that effectiveness?
Well, he's an incredible schemer, one. So whether you talk to like Gene Chizik or you talk to any defensive mind, they will tell you that Brent Venables is, if not the best, he's absolutely one of the best at confusing offenses with his looks. So you'll see in this game, you'll see a four-man front, but you'll see maybe three show blitz, maybe two of them do, and a defensive tackle drops into coverage. They come from all different directions. He's very innovative in his scheme. So he confuses offensive lines and oftentimes confuses quarterbacks. And that's really what's done it. But the other thing is, EG, I don't want to take anything away from the talent that they have and the depth
Mhm.
that they have. There's a couple of guys that are on the availability report that are concerning. And one is our Mason Thomas, who is dealing with that hamstring after, you know, you probably saw him dragging Miles
Yeah.
Kitselman for about 20 yards and then discarding him on his way to the end zone in Knoxville. And the other one is Jaden Jackson, who was a freshman All-American defensive tackle last year. He's sophomore now. He's been great. They're both listed as questionable, but there's still a lot of depth at tackle and a lot of depth at linebacker. And really, it's just a really, really talented group that
Mhm.
that plays well within a very complicated scheme.
Talk about the secondary. I've heard that they're a handsy bunch, and there might be some advantages that Bama can take from that.
Mhm.
What are you seeing there?
Yeah, so they'll start a true freshman cornerback, number 4, Cortland Guillory, who's been really good. Like in fall camp, they were talking about him potentially being a starter, and he was, and he is, and he struggled against Auburn. So if Alabama fans saw that, Cam Coleman had some opportunities, Jackson
Mhm.
Arnold just couldn't hit him, or else that might have gone Auburn's way in Norman. But since then, whether it's Ole Miss or anybody else that he's played, he's been sensational. Tennessee. He was really good. On the other side, you're probably looking at an Eli Bowen, who's a veteran guy who's been there for a while, or Gentry Williams could be one of those guys. He's been coming off of a bit of an injury. So I think at corner, they're confident, but I don't think they want to leave those guys on islands against Bernard and Williams. And, Horton's a problem. Cuevas is a problem. Like there's problems all over that Alabama offense. So then, safety play. There's Eli Bowen's brother Peyton is one of the safeties, experienced there. Robert Spears Jennings, another one. He wears number 3. Had an interception last week, as did Bowen. But um, their strength is in the front 7.
Yeah.
So it's got to be for them, get pressure on Simpson early to where he doesn't have time to dice him up. Because I do think that despite their backfield being solid, it's a good defensive backfield. I don't like the individual one-on-one matchups with Alabama's offensive personnel.
Let's talk quarterbacks because there's a lot of discussion on both ends. And I'm curious, I always like asking my friends on this show what they're seeing out of Ty Simpson because I don't know
Mm-hmm.
about you, Dari, but when we were talking 4 or 5 months ago, especially SEC media days, Ty
Yeah.
wasn't in tow because we didn't know who the starting quarterback would be for the Tide, which is crazy to think about considering how much progress we've seen him make since week 1
Mm-hmm.
until now. What has impressed you when you look at Ty?
One interception. Makes good decisions with the football. He does not panic. He gets incredibly comfortable in the pocket, looks incredibly comfortable in the pocket, leaves the pocket only when he needs to do it. Otherwise, he lets the routes get run. And he delivers the ball. He's as accurate as any quarterback in the SEC is. And I mean, we all remember the great 4th down throw at a critical moment a few weeks ago down the sideline, right into the pocket of the receiver. It was over, layering it over
Yep.
defenders. And no, he's tremendous. He's smart. He knows the offense. He's again patient. He's everything you want a quarterback to play. He's an NFL guy. I mean, he's a 1st-round pick. He's really, really good. I mean, I have a Heisman vote, and he's 100% in consideration in my book. I mean, he's dangerous.
John Mateer, let's talk about him. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
there were some expectations for him this season, and since week 1, we've seen some ebbs and flows. What are you seeing
Yeah.
from him?
No, that's a good way to put it. I mean, it's been a little bit of a roller coaster, EG. It's early on, I think he was really, really good, and the good news is he understands the offense Ben Arbuckle wants to run because they've been together for 3 years, right? They came together from Washington State. But the other part of it is at times, and you'll see it really more in the Ole Miss game and the Texas game, the 2 losses, incidentally, where he just made really bad decisions, where a play is designed essentially to go to a particular receiver, but he might try to go to a receiver an extra 15 yards downfield that's double covered to
Okay.
make a play, right? There's a lot of, and I think that early on and maybe even midway through the season, Mateer was putting a lot of pressure on himself to have to make every play. But what I loved about him at Tennessee, with the exception of the one decision to throw the football in the closing minutes when it shouldn't have been a decision, was he's making the right reads now. He's getting it to the hands of the guys he's supposed to get it to, the guys that Arbuckle is scheming the football to go to. It is an offense that can be very, very easy to operate if you simply do what you're taught to do in it and not try to do too much. But the most encouraging thing I think about him is that he ran effectively against Tennessee. When he broke the thumb and he missed a game and then he came back, really in every subsequent game, he looked very hesitant to run the football. He was slow. He was not decisive. It was almost like he was being overprotective. And in Knoxville 2 weeks ago, he made a difference. He ran for 80 yards. He made a couple of huge plays. And if he is able to run the football, it makes him 1,000 times more dangerous. If he's one dimensional, it's probably not the quarterback you want in a situation like this. But he's looking real, like he's playing his best football right now.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I've, as we've talked about this matchup, it's going to be physical because, OU has that opportunity to be explosive with John Mateer's legs. And historically, Alabama has struggled with a mobile quarterback. Now, I think that this season we can all agree that they've tuned that up. We saw against Lenora Sellers and even Diego Pavia, they've been able to shut him down. For
Mm-hmm.
you, what is your number one key to this game for OU to come out on top?
It's 2 things. I mean, if I can say 2 things.
Yes,
One is,
absolutely.
as we mentioned, EG, it's getting quick pressure to Ty Simpson. That
Yep.
defensive front seven's got to be effective. The other thing is something they've actually really struggled at for the first 6 games, but the last 3 they've succeeded at, and that is run the football in a traditional run game. I know Alabama has struggled to establish
Yeah.
that, and OU was in that same exact boat till probably about 3 games ago, and they inserted a guy. You'll see him, Xavier Robinson, who's a second-year guy, and he has the pop, he has good vision, he has good patience, and he has speed on the back end. Tough to bring down. Usually takes more than one guy to get him down, and he'll get his share of carries with Torrey Blaylock, a true freshman who's number 6. But Xavier's kind of become the guy, and if they can continue to establish that, they ran the ball poorly all season, but the last 3 weeks it's been anywhere between 4.7 and 5.5 yards a carry. And if you can do that, and Mateer is
Mhm.
certainly some of that, they give themselves a chance. Again, if we get into a situation where Mateer's got to just keep hitting receivers, his accuracy is not, it's okay. It certainly isn't Ty Simpson. Or in Oklahoma fans' minds, you'd go back to like a Baker Mayfield or a
Baker.
Sam Bradford, right? Where they're just darts. But if they can run the football a little bit, even 100, 125 yards and get pressure on Ty quickly, they'll give themselves a chance.
Hey, Baker was one of the guys that Ty said that he models his game after a little bit. He gave a list and Baker was on
Awesome.
there. So I guess the OU
Awesome.
fans will be happy with that. And I do want to say this, my interactions with OU fans have been so incredible, Dari.
Good.
Every interaction I've had, and I actually got to travel to Norman. This was in 2021, and it was the TCU OU game.
Okay.
And I want to say Caleb Williams was somehow involved at some point. I can't remember the exact narrative of that game. But I remember walking away so impressed with the hospitable nature of Norman. It was so
Good.
nice.
Good. That's
Yeah.
great. And I hope that I hope everybody else can say that too, because I spent, most of my childhood there on fall Saturdays, and then my college days too. But no, that's great to hear. And there's
Yeah.
going to be a bunch that travel. And I know this, they are excited to go to Tuscaloosa. I know you played there about 20 something, 22 years ago, whatever it was. They did a home and home there, and like you and I are doing today. But
Mhm.
they're excited to go. You'll see them in white. There's this big push. OU fans wear white to stand out. But no, they're good people, and I hope they represent the university well on the road
Yeah.
too. But I expect them to.
I'll report back to you on that. But now it's
Yes,
time to
please
enter
do.
one of my favorite segments of EG and Friends because this is when we really get to just know my friends as the people behind the personalities. And so, Dory, what is the best piece of advice that you have received in this industry?
Um, that's a that I've received. So I think honestly, it's be dependable. And versatility is important in this industry. And I was told that frankly right off the bat when I got to ESPN. The more you can do in this business, the more
Mhm.
opportunities you have. Can you anchor? Can you report? Can you do a little play by play? Can you do radio? Doors will open all the time for you if you have that versatility, because there's always opportunities to do different things. And by the way, like it makes the job a lot more fun if you're not doing the same exact thing every single day. So versatility matters. But the one thing that I always tell people that are younger, people that are wanting to get into this business, is treat people the right way. Like just be a good person to work with. You, just because you're on the air, are no more important than anybody else in that building. Don't act like you're more important than them. You need them. They may need you. You may need them. Like, don't burn bridges. Just be a good person and treat people the right way.
Well, and I think that's in this business. It's really about all who you know, and you never know where people are going to end up. And I think
That's
for
right.
my generation, it's you may start off doing something that isn't necessarily where you want to land, but it's important because, like you're saying, if you don't work in ops, if you don't work behind the camera, if you're not working as a runner or what have you, you're not going to appreciate those roles and you're not going to understand how critical
Right.
they are for what you ultimately want to do. And so I think being versatile and being willing, because as I put it, you're never too good for a job.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And EG, the one thing we all, I think try to remember and certainly need to remember is we're lucky. We're lucky to get to do what we do for a
Yeah.
living, right? I mean, we are beyond blessed in that sense. Um, and if we don't think there are, a few million people that would like to replace us,
Mhm.
then we're wrong. Like we're being naive if that's the case. I think that's one of the things, we love what we do, we enjoy what we do, but I think that we can all be deemed expendable. And
Mhm.
um, so you try to have a real appreciation for the opportunities that we have and do the best that we can doing it.
All right, Dari, thank you so much for doing this. I had the
Of
best
course.
time. I hope that, Bama and OU play each other more just so I can interact with sweet OU fans and people like yourself.
I'm glad you think they're sweet. I hope they are when they get out there Saturday. EG, it's awesome to get to talk to you twice in one day. I appreciate it.
I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of EG and Friends with Dari. I know I did, and I cannot say enough good things about who he is in this industry. And every good thing you hear about him is just true tenfold. And so I've been so blessed to get to know him. And it reminds me of how lucky I am to be in this business. And, you guys have seen now quite a few of my friends in this business get to join me on this platform. And I hope that you're seeing the people behind the personality, because oftentimes you guys do get to see them as you're consuming your favorite college football content, whether it's been Josh Pate or whether it's Alyssa Lang or Peter Burns. I mean, Nick Kelly, all of these people that I just love and adore. Brooks Austin have been so gracious with their time. And Dari is absolutely incredible to come on and preview OU Bama with us. So with that being said, as always, I want to make sure that you guys are following my friends on X. He is at ESPN Dari. He is obviously the SEC Network lead host, and he also hosts his own show, like we were talking about earlier. And so it's the Dari Nowkhah Show, and it's on 9 to noon daily. The best way to get that is you just get the app. So type in KREF into your app store, download it, and you can listen from anywhere. But with that being said, we have 2 weeks left after this of the regular season. For Bama, that is Eastern Illinois, and then obviously the Iron Bowl. So we're workshopping a few guests with both of those weeks. So let me know who you guys would like to see. I love doing that with Brooks Austin. You guys seem to really enjoy that. And so as always, I appreciate you guys watching and enjoy your weekend of college football.